you kind of apologize in that letter to people you made feel uncomfortable. Was there anybody in particular you were thinking, or was it just more of a generic?
No, it was generic. It was the idea of somebody that I might have hugged for a photo that didn't say anything at the time, but of course they went home and posted about how they didn't appreciate it or something, and I apologize to those people for not being sensitive to that.
Isn't it funny how those that stand against Vic, in this case against Monica and Jamie, are constantly going on Twitter and further slandering and defaming Vic by calling him a predator, by calling him creepy? Well, it's actually kind of funny how Jamie Marchi wants to call Vic a predator by nature and having to blame him for initiating certain actions. Meanwhile, on today's video, we have undeniable proof of the hypocrisy behind Jamie Marchi and how hypocritical she is in having to label Vic as a predator. Meanwhile, she is going out of her way, based on the video evidence presented, to initiate many forms of action that incite something that makes Vic out to be creepy, in the fact that whatever it is that she initiates is ultimately used against him. As once more, before we begin, if you are new to this channel and want to be kept up to date with all things involving Vic Mignogna, Monica Rial, Ron Toye, and many of the news and updates involving the Vic Mignogna case, then be sure to go on ahead and smash that subscribe button and turn on all notifications by clicking on the bell icon to never miss a single upload. Be sure to go on ahead and slap a like down below by giving this video a big thumbs up if you guys do stand with Vic, as well as making sure to check out and subscribe to my main channel over at UnrealNetwork, to where there you guys will be able to find lots of anime and Dragon Ball content that you guys will not get to find on here. And follow me at Twitter at UnrealNetwork to stay connected with me at all times. And if you have anything you would like to share or tag me in involving Vic Mignogna or any of the parties involved in this case, then be sure to go on ahead and follow me at Twitter. Now, to kick things off, isn't it funny how Jamie Marchi and Monica Rial and many of those that stand against Vic go on ahead to incite Vic as being a very creepy guy, as someone that always initiates something inappropriate first, right? Notice how they always say that, but we have a brand new clip here of Jamie Marchi inciting and pretending to kiss and make out with Vic Mignogna during a panel with Michael Tatum. And even though it's meant to be satirical, isn't it kind of odd how Jamie had accused Vic of being the one to always incite stuff, grabbing hair, signing jelly beans, doing any and all types of things that further paint him out to be the bad guy in this situation? Well, she is a liar, and I'm going to prove that right now with Jamie Marchi having to initiate a pretend kissing / makeout session with Vic Mignogna. Check this out. Are you now beginning to understand what is going on here? The proof is in the pudding, and you can clearly see that Jamie Marchi was the one to initiate this pretend kissing / makeout session, even though she is the same person that wants to go out of her way to call Vic Mignogna creepy. Meanwhile, she is taking action and doing the exact same things that make a person creepy in having to put this little fan in front of her and pretending to kiss Vic. Meanwhile, if the shoe was on the other foot and this was Vic having to initiate this first, the entire internet would go crazy. Why? Because he's a guy. And if there was ever a time I encourage you guys to share any of my videos, this would be one of them, because it only goes as far as to prove that these people that are directly going against Vic and calling him every name under the book, each and every single time there is video evidence having to showcase some of these other individuals having to initiate something first, all of a sudden it's Vic's fault, even though he went along with with the individual having to initiate the process first, just because he went along with it, he's labeled now as a horrible person. Do you see how this is beginning to work here? And it's so frustrating because the Me Too movement has now officially entered the Dragon Ball and anime community with supposed survivor stories of a man eating jelly beans and touching hair. How does that make anybody a survivor? Do you understand the pragmatics of what's going on here? So that just goes as far as to show that if you hug anybody, even if it's a friend, as in this case here, they were all once friends, right? So by hugging your friends, by complimenting their hair, by having to meme and crack stupid jokes in person that reference jelly beans, or even making stupid and dirty jokes that have no context whatsoever, that are completely misconstrued, that could be used against you. Keep that in mind. Monica, Jamie, they were all once friends with Vic, and as you guys can see based on the video evidence, at some point, everything that they were doing at one point was all for fun, it was all for laughter, it was all for entertainment, but meanwhile, they want to go on ahead and post their stories on Twitter and talk about how uncomfortable they were and how bad they felt. Meanwhile, they're the exact same ones that are inciting and initiating these actions first. How in the world could you ever feel uncomfortable about doing something when you're the one that's inciting something and causing it to start first by initiating an action with a person that you're calling a predator? How hypocritical is that? And it only gets even worse because the local neighborhood clown Dominique Sky on Twitter went along ahead to spin something that Michelle Specht had sent over to Vic Mignogna in having to tweet one of the most disingenuous things that a person can put out there, as Dominique went on to post, and I quote, "Hey, so nurse here, number one, gonorrhea is treatable. Number two, Vic's career is not RIP," being very condescending. Number three, one way to prevent contracting gonorrhea is by not being physical with Vic. Number four, cute meme, you should talk to Vic about wrapping his junk up. What in the world is this woman talking about? How disingenuous is that? Number one, there is nothing that further suggests that Vic Mignogna has any kind of disease. That's number one. Number two, this is blatant slander at its finest. For someone to go on ahead and post publicly that they shouldn't be engaging themselves with this person just because they think they have somewhat of a disease and thus they should be wrapping up their junk, how disingenuous is that? And she's doing it so scot carefree, and every single time someone chooses to say something against her, she immediately blocks them. So it's no surprise that the minute that she gets criticism or any kind of intellectual challenge, she turns her back and quickly cowering away instead of addressing the issue, because of course that's the woman that she is. But yet at the same time, being that she's buddies with the VAs, she thinks that she has a scot-free pass in the fact that she thinks that her stance is correct, in the fact that they're ruining the man's career, and rather than looking at the objective evidence, she's simply siding with one party over the other just to gain some brownie points, to gain some clout within the community, because that's the person that Dominique is. She's a nobody in reality. In the grand scheme of things, this individual is an absolute nobody, but being that they have influence or some type of influence on social media, she thinks that what she is doing now by slandering this individual publicly is something that's going to further the case between Jamie and Monica in their favor, when in fact this right here is clear evidence of not only slander but a character assassination as well. But in the end, I want to get your thoughts in the comment section below about this, and I do encourage you guys to share this video all over social media, because isn't it crazy how Jamie wants to incite and label Vic as being a creepy guy or doing things that made her feel uncomfortable. Meanwhile, on camera, she is doing the exact same things that she is accusing Vic of being, and that's predatory, dishonest, and absolutely creepy in her approach. But I want to get your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. Thank you all so much for your time and watching this video. Again, if you guys are not following me on Twitter, follow me on Twitter at UnrealNetwork. If you guys have anything to share with me or tag me in on Twitter, then be sure to @ me at UnrealNetwork. Hit that subscribe button, guys, on this channel and turn on all notifications, as well as subscribing to my main channel over at UnrealNetwork. I'm going to leave you guys off with some clips for you guys to make some judgments of your own. So again, thank you so much for your time. Tune back in for the next video, and I'll be seeing you all down in the comments, guys. Take it easy. Peace.
I can only assume, I think a reasonable person would assume, that there were entities at Funimation that did not like me for whatever reason and wanted me gone, did not want me to play the character Broly that I'd been playing for 15 years. And so to ask me the question, your question was who at Funimation would do that?
Well, when you
I think it's been established there are people at Funimation that don't like me much and wanted me gone.
Well, when you say that there are people at Funimation who don't like you much and wanted you gone, who are you referring to specifically?
Chris Sabat.
Is he a Funimation employee?
I would say he has a great deal of weight at Funimation. A great deal of weight. And I mean, yes, he is probably. Funimation outsources production to his studio. Chris Sabat has been involved with Funimation since Funimation was in the Frost Bank building on 820 when I started working there. So Chris Sabat, for one.
And what would you say are the rumors that have kind of persisted?
Well, this is one of the biggest ones, that I'm homophobic. Although there's not 1 ounce of evidence. No, I would challenge anyone to provide any public comment or attitude or anything that ever proves that I've been rude or cruel or hateful or mean or ever made a homophobic remark. I have several friends that are gay. There are many friends of mine that worked on my Star Trek production who are gay. I attended a transsexual friend's wedding.
You kind of apologize in that letter to people you made feel uncomfortable. I mean, was there anybody in particular you were thinking, or was it just more of a generic?
No, it was generic. It was the idea of somebody that I might have hugged for a photo that didn't say anything at the time, but of course they went home and posted about how they didn't appreciate it or something, and I apologize to those people for not being sensitive to that.
Now, were there allegations floating around after January 16, 2019 that you were a pedophile?
Well, people have been throwing that word around for
For what?
Well, just for a while.
About you?
Yes.
For how long?
I don't know.
I mean, when's the first time you can recall?
I don't recall. Like I said, there are people out there that see me hugging someone for a photo in front of 300 other people and 25 video cameras. It's purely for the photo, and they decide somehow that I'm a pedophile. There is no evidence of that. There's no proof of it. There are no charges. There are no convictions.
And did you tweet on February 11th, 2019 at 8:09 p.m. that Vic is the legal definition of harassment?
That was not my intent. There's a typo. I didn't even realize that I had accidentally said he's the legal definition. I meant to say, here's the legal definition of harassment. And I didn't realize it was a typo until I was sent my takedown notices.
Did you take
If
it
you
down?
read the entire thread, you can see that I was being harassed, and so I was trying to explain to children that don't understand what harassment
Did you take it down?
Okay. And what is your definition of harassment?
Harassment to me is constantly bugging and picking on someone, even after they've repeatedly asked you to stop, or I can't answer said questions or whatever, to the point of being a nuisance or a threat.